Colton RV creates fantastic memories that will change your life forever. Have you dreamed of getting into glamping in your own RV? Colton RV can help you take that step into the future with a new or used RV. Talk with a Colton RV team member online, by phone, or in person and see hundreds of RVs, from tent trailers to motorhomes and everything in between. It's all about great selection, unequaled service, and low prices. Open late at 2 convenient locations, one in Tonawanda and one in Orchard Park, New York. Now is the time to see the future at Colton RV.
Want to take your camping to the next level? Then why not try glamping? Welcome to RV Glamping Adventures, where you can have a little glamour with your travel adventures. Please join your hosts, Neil and Kathy, as they share RV glamping information, RV park reviews, product recommendations, and so much more. Here's Neil and Kathy.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of RV Glamping Adventures with Neil and Kathy. I'm Neil.
And I'm Kathy. We thought it'd be fun today to sort of recap the year. I think we've hit the last of our trips for 2016, but it's been a great year.
Well, sadly, actually, I called today. I don't know, I did tell you this, but I called today to schedule the winterizing of the new fifth wheel.
Yeah, that's sort of a sad day, isn't
Yeah.
it? But, you know, we've got lots to look forward to and we have lots to look back on. So we thought it'd be just really fun to sort of recap everything that we did this year. And we've had a lot of questions and it'll address some of the questions. But before we jump into everything we've done, why don't we start off? We've actually had some mail that we wanted to share with you guys.
Mail time.
All right, the first one is from one of our friends, Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for listening and thanks for sending us a note. And Richard says this. He said, I heard on the RV Navigator podcast that battery headsets with mics are useful for communicating between driver and the person guiding you when backing up. That eliminates shouting, hand signals, and flashlights. How does towing a fiver compare to driving the Class A? Really enjoy listening to you guys, Richard. Well, thank you, Richard.
That was very nice. Thank you.
All right, so a couple things there. And I mean, I definitely wanted to bring this up because I think he had a great idea.
He had a great idea. And I think what we were going to do, well, let me talk about this. We have, in the few times we've done it, we've come up with a series of shouting and hand signals and
interesting
pointing.
hand signals.
A lot of pointing.
A lot of pointing, yeah, we'll call it that.
And so, you know, when we had the motorhome, it was a piece of cake. We had it down. We knew our signals. It could even do it sometimes by like just eye and hand movements. It was kind of simple. Now with the fifth wheel,
I give Neil the look.
It's a look. But now with the fifth wheel, it's totally a different way of backing up. But we're getting on it, I think. I love the idea of the hand headsets. That's a great idea. I think what you and I had talked about doing was, because the truck has it's Bluetooth enabled, I can be on the phone and you can be on your phone and we could talk that way too.
Yeah, right.
So similar kind of thing without having to get a new piece of equipment.
Yeah, I just thought, why spend the money if we can kind of use something we already have?
Yeah.
In that vein, one of the questions I've gotten a few times too, Neil, is, you know, we've talked a little bit about it. I don't know where you're at with this, but does it help you? Typically, guys, I do 50% of the driving, but with the backing up, I let Neil do. When it comes to parking,
yeah, I do 100%.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
He's 100%, and I guide him in and all that. But what do you think about a backup camera? Because we had that on the motorhome. We don't have that now. What are your thoughts?
I actually like the idea of the backup camera, so you can actually see what's behind you. It's like one more thing to check to make sure. But also, you know, this is kind of funny. I'm not ready for this. This actually, if you think about it, though, the way we communicate, you are the backup camera as well. So I think that's actually pretty good. But it's actually kind of nice to be able to see. I used to like when we were
Did you really use it?
All the time when I was backing up the motorhome. Yeah,
okay.
Because I was able to not only go by your signals, but I was able to see, because sometimes when you're in the driver's seat and you totally trust the person who's directing you, but it's also just another reassurance. So I would look to make sure that I was backing up to the right level. Even though you said come back, I was able to see as well. So it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah, and hopefully not back over me.
No, I tried not to. And that's the other thing. I tried to miss you a lot.
Yeah, try to not kill me.
You know.
So is that worth the investment? I don't know what these things cost.
I think our particular fifth wheel, the Grand Design Solitude, is it's enabled already for a backup camera, and I've seen them as low as like $200 installed. So we can actually
installed.
I think so, yeah.
Because that's where they get you. Is
Oh, it's always installed. But I think it's a very simple install, and it goes onto the, there's a little unit that you put into your dashboard. And I've actually seen, because we're looking for an RV GPS, that some of the GPSs, and I might be totally wrong and slept and dreamt this and made this up totally, but I don't think so. I read somewhere that there's GPSs are also backup camera enabled. So you'd be able to kind of use both. But
that sounds like a good mutual Christmas present.
Yeah, I think so. But then you'd have to use a special type of backup camera. I mean, this is the whole thing you'd have to look into.
Yeah, but it's worth investigating.
Yeah.
I would love to hear from, I'm sure you would too, I'd love to hear from you guys, those of you that, went into the Fiverr and either have one, don't have one, got into one, anything you'd recommend while we're investigating. Could you please send us some links or, what you suggest on that? That would really be helpful in our checking into that. I didn't know if that, like for me, it was something, I used the backup when I was driving, it wasn't the backup, but the camera I used for the back of it when we were towing more than anything. I can't say that it helped me other than like for driving, you never really saw the cars that close to you, but
Actually,
it was mostly did you use it?
Oh, all the time. I would use the backup
mirrors.
camera. I'd use the mirrors, but I'd also give like one quick glance at the backup because I could see if something was in my blind spots or something, how far they were behind me.
Well, the side mirrors, and the Coachman had side mirrors, so when you went to turn left or right.
Side cameras,
that camera would go on and you would see that. So I used that.
Yeah.
But
I also use the backup. I use just to see if anything was coming up on the sides. It's amazing when you have all these things. You're like, should I use it? But I wound up using a lot of the backup camera, and I think even like for us going forward down the road, because some of his question was like, how do you find driving it? I think I'm enjoying driving, like towing the fifth wheel. That was kind of nice. One problem I had was seeing behind me. I'm used to our blind spots in the motorhome.
Yeah, it's a whole different space.
And it's just a little different, like changing lanes. I was a little bit more, I think space-wise, I had a little bit more apprehension than I'm used to. So I think I'll get used to it the more we drive. But for now, maybe a backup camera would be something so I can see directly behind us.
Yeah, so I think we should definitely investigate that. We tended to... I haven't driven that yet. I'm totally used to, at this point, we drive the F-350 full-time, all the time now.
Yeah, all the time.
So I love it.
It's
awesome.
awesome.
love it. I have no problem with it. No regrets. I mean, we went from a Kia Soul, guys, to get into a Ford F-350.
Exactly.
So we're like, we got running boards, so you got to climb up into it. I've decided that's good exercise.
It is.
Climbing up into it.
And because of parking, we park far away from everybody else.
We get extra steps in because it takes up a lane and a half back to back.
Yeah.
So you really have to go. We just want to be considerate of others, and we park real far away, and we just get extra steps on our pedometer.
Yeah,
so
we have a crew cab F-350 with an 8-foot bed, so it's a spot and a half.
It's big
in the grocery store.
Yeah, but I love driving it. No regrets there. So far as driving it, I haven't had Neil drove. Pretty much you've been the one driving it.
Well, we went to one trip.
We had one trip with that, other than our staying in the parking lot the night we actually got it from Colton. But as far as we did feel. I was thinking as a passenger what that felt like. The truck is definitely just something a lot more bumpy. We have airbags in the suspension of the truck. So what did you learn about that? We learned a few things to make sure we were... That's our dog scratching at herself. But we were learning something about making sure... what was the thing we had to make sure was turned on?
There's a couple things we've learned.
We learned a few things.
We have airbags in our suspension that are actually kind of nice. And when we first got them, and we didn't know anything about it, our very first trip, there was a lot of chucking that was occurring. And it just felt like it wasn't... It was a lot of play in everything. So what we wound up doing was, I was doing some reading, and I found out about the airbags. At the place we stayed, there was an air pump. So I took the truck over there, and I checked the airbags. And they should have been... In my opinion, they should be kind of at the same PSIs. One was 16, one was 30. So there was like a more bounce on one side. It wasn't as balanced as it should be. So I balanced them out to 50. And then when we came home and we hooked the truck up, I thought, did you think the ride was a lot better?
Yeah, it was a totally different ride on the way there. It was rather uncomfortable. on the ride
Oh,
there.
yeah, I thought so,
It
too.
definitely feels different when you're driving the truck anyway versus when you're a passenger, with or without the fifth wheel attached, I think. But it was way smoother coming back. So once you added the air and all of that stuff, it just felt, or I don't know, maybe I got used to it, but it just felt different to me.
It did.
So, because I was thinking, honestly, I'm like, wow, this is going to feel weird all the way down to Florida.
Yeah, 1,200 miles of
1,200 miles of chuck. What's the other word? Chuck and what?
Chuck and yaw.
Chuck and yaw.
I don't know.
So we quickly found out what that meant, because that's not something we had ever experienced in the the Class C or the A that we've had. So it's been really, really different for us.
I think chuck is forward, backwards, and yaw is side to side. I don't really know.
I didn't feel
Then
any
there's something
side-
up and down. I don't really understand that either.
Did you feel a side to side? I didn't feel
I
a
don't
side
know.
to side.
Maybe. But
it was more of a front and back kind of a kind of thing.
We did find out too that in our F350 we do have air brakes that we didn't use because we weren't in any mountains
That's
or
what
anything.
I was thinking.
Yeah, those are air brakes.
Yeah,
and that's something. So when we actually hook up, as soon as we go forward, it's in tow haul mode. And if I've done some reading, and if you guys want to clear up some stuff for us, because if you use it already and you understand better than I do, I can always learn.
We're in total learn mode.
We're in learning mode. Air brakes, I hear that you use in the mountains in tow haul, and it makes everything smoother. Not quite sure, and you feel more stable when you're pulling. So, if anybody's got some ideas out there, please email us at rvglampingadventures@gmail.com.
It's also a good thing maybe for us to post for any of those that have a Grand Design. There's an owner's forum that's really great to. Sometimes it's a lot of complaining, but it's supposed to be, and mostly is a really positive site to go and share.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we didn't have this experience with the Coachman, or we didn't find it. Maybe it exists. But that's something that's great to kind of look into your model that you have. If you've got questions, you know what? Go check out and see if there's a forum for it also on Facebook, because we've learned a lot.
Tons.
Just from other people's dilemmas and situations.
Actually, the funny thing is, because I read this, I'm obsessed now. I read the Grand Design forum on Facebook every day. There's also a forum online that's a Grand Design as well. It's its own website, and that's actually really interesting. There's a lot of really good information in that. But I did notice that there was a lot of complaints going on in the Grand Design forum, just people like this, that, and the other thing. And there's two people that work for Grand Design, Bill Martin and Emily Staley. And they will personally answer your questions. If you're having problems, they're
you just tag
direct,
them on it?
Yeah, and direct message me and get me your information and we'll help you out. So they've been really, really helpful with that whole thing. And that, to me, was and I'm sure other manufacturers, I would hope, do the same thing. We never found that with Coachman, but I guess maybe we didn't go looking.
Well, and breaking news in the last couple weeks, for those of you that have a Grand Design, was that Winnebago has bought them.
Yeah.
So, of course, the forum went berserk.
Oh, it went crazy.
And Bill Martin actually tried to calm the nerves and let it all dust settle and all of that stuff. But, our first model was, that didn't freak us out in any way. We went into Grand Design because we liked the layout. Yeah. And when we read about it and researched it, it had so many positive reviews. So we felt really good about that. Well, our first RV we had a Class C Winnebago, an Access.
Yep.
And we loved it, and we thought the quality of Winnebago was awesome. And actually, there's always, you're not going to make everybody happy.
No.
And stuff happens. They're homes on wheels, so that for me, that never surprises me that stuff breaks. It shouldn't. There's some things that shouldn't happen. Then you need to deal with the manufacturer or the dealership or whatever. There's certain issues, and that's what's great about the forums. But I didn't feel concerned at all.
No, not at all.
It's been a few years since we had a Winnebago, but I think that was bringing together of two really good brands, and I think it'll keep its integrity.
Yeah, from what they say, the people at Grand Design are still going to be the people at Grand Design. This just opens up a little bit more money for both of them, so they're becoming more solvent. If there's an economic downturn in any way, a lot of companies, if anybody remembers Damon, they're not around anymore. There's a couple other ones that just got bought up by other places, which happens. But now they're going ahead of time. The market's good. They're selling. Everything's great. So they're just using their buying power, I think, a little bit is what it really comes down to.
Bringing together two really good brands, in my opinion. I'm sure somebody's got a story, but all, if you look at the bigger picture and the larger numbers statistically, I think that's two really strong companies
Absolutely, yeah.
coming together as one. So I'm pretty cool with that.
I really liked our Winnebago. I thought that was a really well built. And the thing is,
I don't think we ever had a problem with it.
No, we had a couple problems, but they were
Little
very
things,
small and little things. Expected things.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. For anybody who's been doing this, we're on our fourth, and some of you guys have been through these things quite a few.
I have a funny one to read you next.
There's a lot
I can relate to.
There's a lot of when you're on your fourth. By the fourth time, you should understand. Actually, by the first time, if someone's told you, you should understand it's going to break. You're going to, in the first year, have problems. Things aren't going to work the way they should. And that's why a lot of these guys have warranties that are year long. That's why you go for the extended warranty, that you get it all fixed up. And I actually found by the time we were done with our Coachman, three years later, 3.5 years later, that we were fine. Yeah, there was really no problems with it. There was that one little thing with the fender, but that was something they were working on. But other than that was the water system worked great, the electrical system worked great, everything was working great. So whatever problems, the slides, whatever problems we would have had.
You always got things fixed. You just stay on top of it. So, I just, like I said, I think everybody's got good and bad stories. Probably somebody sitting out there, I had a Winnebago, blah, blah, blah. There's always, that probably was the one made Friday at 4:00. I mean,
I love that when they say that.
We had a Coachman that was, in our opinion, the first one we had, the Murata was, we got one that was made at Friday at 4:00. I'm pretty sure we made some great memories in it. We just always were dealing with this same issue like 6 times with the slide out.
Well, it was the one the driver's side slide. The pin kept breaking. The bolt that keeps the carriage together. And the slides are heavy. So when we were out and parking, and you go to try to bring the slide in, you hear crunch, and then the slide comes in torqued. That's really scary on a vacation.
Yeah, and every single one.
And every single one.
But then not getting into too much detail, Colton, they took care of us, So relationships, we've talked before about relationships with your dealers. And
we weren't afraid of a Coachman after that either.
No, we got right back into another one and got an encounter. So, all right, so this other letter I got was from Lori. I don't know where Lori's from, but she sent me, hi Lori, thank you for chatting with us. She sent us a message on Facebook. And she says, just started listening to your podcast last week, and I have to say they are awesome. Thank you, Lori.
That's so nice.
It's always nice to even know people are listening.
Yeah, by the way.
And that they like it. They really like it.
Thank you for everybody listening.
Yeah. We have been campers for many years. We have been through 12-foot travel trailer, fifth wheel. Remember, we were just talking about this. 18-foot travel trailer. And now we've decided to get a Class A gas for the convenience of travel. LOL. There are only 3 of us. Thanks for making the awesome podcast. She and I went back and forth a little bit. I just asked her where she traveled. I love to hear other people's stories and share and inspire and all of that. She says, so we mainly camped around our area, but have taken trips to South Padre Island, Texas, and Destin. These are all places, we've hit some of those. Yeah. I know we've talked about South Padre.
Yeah, it's supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah, we love the beach, and we love Destin. So do we, Lori. Love it. And have gone the past 2 years and have already planned the trip for next July. So have we, but we're going in April, I think. We camp at Camp Golf in Destin, which is right on the beach. Well, because of you, Lori, I think that's where we're going.
I think we are, yes.
Yeah, and actually, we went to...
there was another gentleman on Facebook who showed us pictures from Camp Golf.
Actually, when we were taking pictures from on the other side of Florida, when we were at Beverly Beach Camptown RV Resort in Flagler, this guy was like, here's where I am, and it was Camp Golf. Now, we had driven down there we love to go exploring in the areas that we're in.
Oh, yeah.
And we found it, we saw it, and we were like, oh, that's pretty cool, but we were staying a little bit closer to
we were at Destin West
RV Resort, which was really great, but it wasn't right on the beach. It was, oh my goodness, across the street.
Oh.
But the views.
And you had to walk across the street. It was so much effort.
Yeah.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah. And
Total sarcasm.
There was a pool. We were on the sound side. It was beautiful.
It was great, yeah.
But we do like staying right on the beach, the convenience of it. So we're looking into that for the Easter trip. It's a couple days there. She says they love it there. We just listened to your podcast about why wait, and that is the decision we recently came to because, like you, we always said we would get a motorhome when we retired. Then we got to thinking their daughter's 9, and they're not getting any younger. Neither are we, Lori, so you're not alone. So we decided to go for it. That made me feel so good.
That's really cool.
That made me feel really good. This is why we're doing this.
Absolutely.
We feel like for us it will make it easier to take trips. And they went on to talk about where they'd like to go to in New Mexico, Colorado. She says she loves the fact that you all said you stop at the Cracker Barrel a lot because that's exactly what they're planning to do. They were interested in getting into a Coachman Pursuit Class A, and she wondered what the pros and cons were for Coachman. And they've done a lot of research. I don't know, maybe they've actually, even since this time, this was a couple weeks back, they may have made the decision. We went back and forth. We're all big Disney fans, so they love going there too. So, but they were looking into
Destin and Disney. That's awesome.
Destin, Beachfront, Disney, Coachman.
Nice people.
I think I like them.
They are nice people.
I think we have things in common. But what would you say? Advice for, first of all, thank you for the advice for Destin.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to go to Camp Golf.
But what would you say? We kind of touched on it a minute ago about Coachman. Any concerns you have?
None. No. I think actually it's from what happened with everything that got bought. Forest River bought, back in the financial blah, blah, blah. Forest River bought, Coachman, and that's a Warren Buffett company. It's part of Berkshire Hathaway, actually. Mm-hmm. So it's a very strong company. It's got a lot of money. It's very stable. I think their products are really good. And I think if you watch from 2013 when we got ours, and then if you watch even just the model as they came up and up and up, they've made a lot of improvements to it. Like more getting into, for instance, the water purifier that we had in our tank totally changed. So there was probably some design flaw, and they fixed it. So I think if you're getting a Pursuit now, or you're looking into Coachman, from what they've done in the past to now, they're constantly looking to update their products. So I'd be totally comfortable getting a Coachman.
Yeah, and I think, we always talk about glamping, and when we were researching the first Coachman that we got, and sticking with the Encounter, I think you get so much bang for your buck. If you're looking at a Class A motorhome, they're just priced, I'm going to say the word reasonably. In the realm of RVing and what's reasonable, I think they're priced right.
The gas
for
especially.
The gas models,
and
you get a lot of bang for your buck. The finishes are really nice. Mm-hmm. I think they're well made. Obviously, that's the structure of it, and that's huge. The technology of it, and all that is what's more important. But the finishing, if you're looking for a residential feel, they're great. Like, it has a nicer kitchen. Even our fifth wheel now, these RVs have nicer kitchens than we have.
Yeah, I'm looking at.
We have a nice kitchen.
It's a very nice kitchen.
But that's a nicer kitchen.
Yeah, it's a nice kitchen.
So I think the finishings are nice, and you'll be really happy with it. And they do stand behind their products. So, I don't think there were any cons.
No.
We did, like I said, we got the lemon, but what we call a lemon, but it got rectified. So I'm happy with them.
I'm totally happy.
If someone were to give me one, I'd take it.
Yeah.
I would not say no.
Nope. But
so go for it, Lori.
And they're a real stable company, so that's huge nowadays too.
And Lori, let me know what you ended up deciding. I'd love to hear back from you on that. Okay, this was a little different one for us.
Okay.
So we're going to throw this out there. This is from Brian, and he wrote us on Facebook, and he says, "My wife and I enjoy the podcast, but we're having a difficult time listening. The subject matter is well done, and I really don't want to be a critic, but Kathy constantly," I love that it's all in capital letters.
Yeah, that was tough.
"talks over Neil and disrupts him. These disruptions are extremely distracting and taint the presentation." So first we had to say, I had to kind of, because we want to talk about the good with the bad. We're not professional podcasters.
No. This is the production team.
Yeah, sitting at our kitchen table in our condominium. But I guess all I have to say is when I first read this, honestly, in a year and a half, and this is our 73rd podcast. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, you guys, we've only ever gotten positive feedback. That may be because some people are like, what I do in life is, and we, like, for example, we won't even do a negative review. We just won't discuss that.
Correct.
Because everybody has different experiences. And like whether, I'm not going to trash someone because maybe someone had a bad day or whatever. But, maybe some people are just keeping a negative thought to themselves. And, I'm okay with that. That's really how I try to live. But I'm also open to constructive criticism. And I think constructive would be the key word for me. Mm-hmm. We're trying to make this better and better. Like I said, we're not professionals. We're just a regular couple who enjoys RVing. But this stung at first.
It wasn't easy to hear.
No, it wasn't. But Neil and I talked about it, and I'm going to try to learn from that, and I'll try. The problem is I get pretty excited about the topic matter.
But let me say something here. I think you're very passionate about the subject matter. Kathy comes up with the topics that we're going to do. Actually, you do a lot of everything with this whole thing. Between the podcasting, the Facebook, it's all you. So you're incredibly passionate about it.
I am.
And I appreciate that. I will admit this, I go along for the ride sometimes, and I love it. Like, life is very, very good. I love everything we do. We do it as a team, but you come up with the creative ideas, and I appreciate it.
Can I be the creative director?
You
Can
are.
that be my role?
As long as I can be the audio engineer.
You're the audio engineer, and backer-upper.
And backer-upper.
And I'll be the creative director.
But you are, and I think when we have a subject matter, and, sometimes I can go off topic just a little bit, and you're trying to be the one who keeps it on topic, and I appreciate that.
I think more often than not, I get excited about it, and I try to limit our time so that people can listen as long as they need to listen, and then not that we babble on too much. I mean, it's a podcast. People talk. Somebody actually wrote to us the other time. I got something I thought was like, oh, okay. Somebody says, all you guys do is talk. And I'm like, it's a podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what more to say to that. But, we do that for each other, and we allow that with each other.
Absolutely.
There's times that, Neil and I, we just get excited about the subject matter that we might be talking about, even like not when we're podcasting. And we have to make sure, communication is the key to any good relationship. Neil and I are a team. And we respect each other,
Absolutely.
And we love each other, and we're each other's best friends. So I said to him after, I'm like, do you feel that way? Like, I don't want to make you feel that way. So I was like, whoa, because communication is a huge thing to Neil and I to make sure, because we work together and we do everything together.
Yeah, I think if anybody, if you're with, especially a lot of you guys that are full-time and stuff, you're with your partner, your best friend.
All the time.
And you have to communicate. In any relationship, communication is absolutely important. I'm not always a great communicator either. So sometimes...
Well, I think the other thing too, Neil, is people always joke with us that Neil and I share a brain.
Well, we do.
And we do. So like right now, we just sort of flow. This is our flow. And if it's distracting, I apologize. But Brian, I am happy you wrote us. I love that you're listening.
Yeah.
And that, the good, the bad, and the ugly come out. And hey, at least someone's listening to us, and that's exciting, and is giving us, I thought, relatively constructive. I don't know that you needed to do it in bold. That was sort of an ouch, but I'll work on that, Brian. I will.
We had just come back from a big run too, so we both crushed it and felt super positive, and then got in the truck and went, "Oh my God!" But obviously, Brian, you didn't mean to do it that. The timing's everything, but it was like one of those things that
yeah, that was a great.
Maybe we can learn from it, but also
No, we will learn from it. I'm going to take if people have something to say, please, I'm open to it. I certainly don't want to turn this into a whole negative thing. I don't want everybody oh, I really want this to be inspirational and fun, and we're just talking about RVing here, guys. And our love of it. So if I get a little exuberant, I'm sorry.
If you look at our Facebook page, it says, and I think we've been able to do that with a lot of people, and we're sure trying, but it's let us inspire you.
Yeah.
And if we're able to inspire you, or you can get some content, good ideas out of it, we're just passionate about the subject, period.
Yeah.
That's about it. Which is absolutely awesome, because if anybody who's listening to this probably RVs, and I hope you RV, you know how we feel, because these things are great. You've opened up a whole new world for us.
I love talking with all these people. Like we're nearing, I think it's 12,400 likes on the Facebook page. It's like amazing. I never thought we'd be there. And I just feel like that's so cool that so many people, and like especially when you get somebody like Lori who's had this, that, and the other. Yeah. We've all had multiple experiences and multiple RVs, and we all get each other. So
totally.
It's really cool to have been able to come across so many people. One gal even posted a picture that she had just bought a Tiffin at Colton RV the other day, and she's like, I'm here too, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool.
That was awesome.
Like it makes my day.
It's a great community.
So I love hearing positives. I don't mind hearing constructive criticism. So I love to hear from you guys. So thanks, Brian, for writing, and thanks for listening. And I will try not to talk over Neil. Now, if it goes way off subject, I'm gonna reel you back.
Well, she is the lead. I give up the lead, because I think as far as the team goes, we know somebody who's in radio, and they said you're always going to have the more dominant personality on air, And I wouldn't say that you're a dominant personality with that stuff, but
I'm a Leo.
You tend to lead.
I'm
fine.
We know that about each other.
Absolutely.
And we're a good balance for each other. So,
Absolutely.
That's who we are. All right, so that's about what I had for the viewer mail. So we thought it'd be fun just to sort of reminisce and talk about our past year, what we've learned.
Our year in review.
That's our sound effects.
That's it.
High end.
I'll try to put an echo.
High end sound effects here. Yeah, can you echo that?
I could.
Because that's your job.
As the audio engineer, I will
Maybe
echo
you
that.
can echo that.
Co-host and audio engineer.
That would be really funny if you did that.
I could do it.
So I don't know. Looking back on it, this has been an interesting year. 2016, I think a lot of people would agree it's been an interesting year. I would say it's been a year. I would call this year the year of transitions. We've had a lot of transitions.
It's a different kind of year for us. I mean, last year is, anybody who listens, we sold our house, we moved into a condo. This year we've changed into a fifth wheel. We've adapting with our son moving to Orlando. There's a lot of changes in our life. Kids are getting older. We're getting younger. It's kind of like a lot of, this is a year in transition. But looking back, now that we're sitting here and I'm mildly sad that we're not going anywhere again this year,
Mildly?
It's been I'm incredibly sad. I'm trying to make it, I'm downplaying.
Yeah, I know.
I'm downplaying my feelings or I'll start crying. But I think it's been a great year as far as it goes. It's a great transition.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying, I think life is all about change and you got to go with the flow. I have this thing, my analogy of life is water. I'm a painter, so a lot of my paintings have some kind of a water tone, some kind of a theme. Not all of them, but some. And that's something I think it's been my therapy, especially this year, is the painting. If anyone wants to check it out, that's Inspirations on Canvas.
You beat me. I was going to do that.
I'm on Facebook, and there's a link to my Etsy site if anyone's interested. Some people ask, what do you do? I'm an artist.
And she's a great artist.
And I run our business.
Yes.
But anyway, but I feel like you got to go with the flow. Stagnant water, typically, it's sort of toxic. There's a lot of algae. Life can grow within there and all of that too, but it's not necessarily the kind of water I want to hang out in.
You don't want to drink it.
And I don't want to also be in a life that's like a rushing water, that you're going down whitewater rafting. I like just a constant nice flow and to keep moving forward. And so this year I've been trying to manage all of that. We made changes to simplify last year.
That was so deep.
I've said it a million times.
I know, but it's really deep.
Yeah, I'm deep. Can you get the thing? Yeah. So really though, that's how I see things, and this year has been a lot of moving forward, and I really feel like life is constant change. We've been raising 4 kids. There's always been changes, but to me, not like lately. Like this year, to me, has been the biggest change. As far as the moves last year and this past year. That was all to simplify, to be able to travel more and travel in the kind of manner that we want to. But going with the flow of everything has really been my theme, as far as where I've been at, getting used to kids growing up, moving on. It's something we all go through. I don't know that everybody talks about it as much as they can, but some trips we've had some kids, other trips we've had one kid. Another trip we had no kids. Yeah. So it's been a real taste of a buffet.
And over the last
seeing what's out there.
The last 17 years we've always had kids.
Yeah.
Together. There's always been kids in our lives, which is awesome. And I've talked to in our office, people come in and are having babies and having little kids and they're exhausted. And I'm like, you know what? Enjoy every moment of it. Looking back on it, I wouldn't change anything of it, but I'm also excited about where we're going forward without them.
Yeah, we made a conscious decision years ago when we got into RVing to travel with the kids while we had them now. We know a lot of people that like to travel without their kids and leave them at home with grandparents or whatever. That's not something we've been able to do.
No.
And nor did we want to, because we knew that back in 2008, we're like, look, this ride is going faster and faster, so let's enjoy every moment. So we consciously made the decision that we'll have lots of time later, hopefully, to travel by ourselves. And we've snuck in a few trips here and there, like the one we just did. But we really wanted to make lots of memories with the kids as we could. And it has started to change over the years that we've had,
It's evolved quite a bit.
The oldest one, he stopped going on some trips because he was in college. And then he graduated and has a life and a job. And so, this year that's been sort of the theme, of getting a feel for where we're heading and being okay with that.
Totally.
Being okay with that. And, what would you say was your favorite trip with the family? this year?
Well,
We started off, maybe we can kind
we
of
went
go
to
through.
Well, we started off at Disney.
Yeah,
we
that
went to
was-
Disney a lot this year, and I think a lot of that had to do because Ian moved to Orlando. So
Yeah.
it was the one way we could.
And we like Disney.
Oh, love Disney, but we could actually go. I think that's some of why we went. At least the April trip, so we could actually see him and everything. So
Yeah.
that was really nice.
That was
a good
actually
one.
March. So our first
that
trip
March?
was, yeah, because Easter was early this
Oh,
year.
yeah.
So our first trip, actually, we went down to, did we go to Beverly Beach then, or was that in the summer?
No, that was the
That
summer.
was in the summer.
So that would be my
Oh, yeah,
favorite
we
trip.
just headed down because it was a shorter trip. So we just headed down to Disney, hung out there for a while, and
then
really
came home.
stayed on property and came back. It was a great trip.
It was.
But it was short.
It was very
quick.
short. It
I
was
like to
like-
stay a little longer with that kind of driving.
We were there, 7 days total?
Yeah, but great weather.
Yeah, it was awesome.
We actually, what was great about that is for the spring break trip that we did have all the kids. We went down, like Neil said, to meet up with Ian, who had just moved a few months before for a job. and
Moved
was living-
January 1st.
Yeah, so he'd been there for a little while, and then it was kind of good timing to go down and see him and make sure he's doing well and spend time, the six of us. And that was really great. And for whatever reason, the planets aligned. And Mitchell, the second oldest, who's in third year college, he had the same week off that the other two did.
Which
And
never
That
happens.
never happened.
Never
So
happens.
we took advantage of that, and we had a great trip. Like, that's probably one of the, I always feel like, is that the last one we're all going to be together on?
Yeah.
But it's sort of dwindling. It's dwindling.
It's a little different.
And then we came back, and our big trip, was that the next one? Our big trip, we went and headed back down. This was a big one, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, and that was probably
Almost 3.
that was my favorite because we stopped on the way down. We went to Beverly Beach for a couple
Well,
days.
and what was unique about that trip is this is when we got the tow dolly.
We had the tow dolly, and that changed everything
That changed
for us.
it. So I felt like that trip was probably my favorite too. We were able to really get a flavor of, it was like all of us, now we did get all of us together
Yeah.
again for that one, because everyone was out of college and school and everything, and our oldest son did take some time off from work to be able to just spend with us,
Yeah,
which
he
he
took
didn't
a
get to
full
do the
week,
yeah,
yeah.
he wasn't off that last trip in March. He was working, so
Well-
he was trying to battle traffic to come see us every day.
Every time we'd see him at dinner, because he would meet us for dinner and then we'd hang out afterwards, but he would come over and we'd meet him at the restaurant. He'd just look miserable and grumpy. And it wasn't until I didn't find out until we left and came home. I was just like, maybe he's just grumpy and tired. I don't know. But that he would leave his office at like 4:30 and he'd just make it to the restaurant at 6:30 for reservations
you that
because of the
know-
Orlando traffic.
Yeah, those of you that know Orlando, the 4 is horrendous.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that's when he was trying to battle it. What should be a 20-minute drive took
It's
him
20
an
minutes,
hour.
yeah.
So that was a pain. But he
I
was
felt
able
bad for him.
to, I did too.
I felt
We
bad.
loved having the car along with us. So this trip we called it Disney and Beyond.
Yeah.
Because when we did, on the way down, we did stop at Beverly Beach Camptown, which we love, and stayed at the beach and did some R&R.
Yeah, hi, Toral.
Hi, Toral. And, we'll be back next year. We're coming back. We love it there. So you guys go check that place out. Beverly Beach Camptown RV Resort. Fabulous. Now, they did get hit, direct hit, I would say,
Yeah.
by the hurricane.
Hurricane Matthew.
Matthew that just went through. They're pulling it together. I've been watching on Facebook, and they're open on one side. They've got one side that's open. That's on the other side of the road. But they're doing some cleanup, and
the beach
they
was-
suffered a little bit of damage from some beach erosion and things like that. So it's all fixable, and they're going to pull it back together. The store, I think, is open again. And so anyway, my heart goes out to you guys. I hope
Absolutely.
I hope it all gets back to normal.
A lot of positive thoughts with you guys.
Thoughts your way. And we spent a great time there. Met another couple there. We always meet great
Oh, yeah.
RVers.
RVers are the nicest people.
They are. But we were, we're able to have a car along with us in this trip. So when we actually went and sort of based out of Disney, we did so much more, right?
Yeah, we ziplined at Gatorland. We wound up going to Kennedy Space Center. That was awesome. I loved it there.
Highlight-
Gatorland was very cool.
Highlight of that trip.
Yeah,
for sure.
Kennedy Space Center was amazing. Then we also got to go and have dinner in town. Kathy and I were able to go and do some other things. And honestly, we went about 7 years with no tow dolly in Class C and Class A,
Yeah,
and
why
we
did
made
we
it
do
happen.
that?
I don't know.
Why did we wait?
The best thing we ever did was get a tow dolly.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, we sold it because we got a fifth wheel. But either way,
Duh.
it worked out.
It worked out great. So we were really able to me, it felt like the trip on steroids. Like you could just do so much more. It opened up.
Totally,
We've
yeah.
always been limited to, I would base trips around campgrounds that there was public transportation, like at
Tours or something.
Cherry Hill did that. We've been to Quebec where they, in a KOA that had Gray Line bus kind of thing go through. So we would always look at, all right, and the odd time we would rent a vehicle. But, we really tried to base our trips around that. So that was a little bit limiting versus this time. I think we even saved a little bit money, not always eating on property.
Right.
Besides cooking, and we did eat some meals on property, we could go out and try some, like Ian brought us to local restaurants that we love.
Had some of the best pho I've ever, or pho, either way. Pho. Anyways, it's so good. Bowl. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so we were able to just sort of explore and get more of the flavor of the area.
Yeah, it was nice.
Because Orlando does feel like a second home to us. We do love it down there. Although, honestly, I will take snow over hurricane, guys.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to lie.
No offense, guys.
No offense, but, that would be the downside to Florida for me. But the rest are all 2 thumbs up. So that was a really great trip. And then on the way home, we decided let's add a few days. And rather than make that 20-hour drive straight through, which is kind of dangerous, we stopped in D.C.
Yeah, and we stayed at Cherry Hill Park, and that was great. We've been there, like Kathy said, we've been there many times, and we've gone usually with the bus. But this time we had, to get us to the train station, what's it called, the Metro.
Yeah.
To get us to the Metro, we've always used the bus. This time we brought our car, so that kind of made it a nicer ride for us. We can just go and do our thing.
Yeah,
but
we were at the mercy of the public transportation system.
It's a lot of hurry up and wait,
which was good because it slowed down the trip. But like we weren't always go. But it it was nicer to be able to just park and boom, jump on the Metro.
And it was the 5 of us for that, so we did some really neat things in DC. DC's got so many fun places to go, and that are all free. So we went to the Air and Space Center. We went to the museum.
All the Smithsonian's.
Yes, all the Smithsonian's. What's the other one?
Well, we hadn't been to the Holocaust, so that was, of course, unbelievable.
Yeah.
We did so much walking. That's another theme of our trips.
That was a lot. And we got Fitbits for this one.
We got Fitbits, so that really, when you really see that you're walking 16, 17 miles in a day, you're like, I can eat that extra ice cream.
Absolutely.
I can.
I had steaks and all sorts of pie. It was great.
It was great. Lots of good food, but we do eat really healthy even when we're on the road. So
we got a tour of the Capitol building.
Oh, that was great.
And we were able to go watch the Senate hearing, or the Senate, which is absolutely, and I'm not getting political, but it was totally shocking, because when you watch it on C-SPAN, you imagine that there's 100 senators listening to each other speak, and there are not. There's one senator presenting to pages and another person, and then they'd just take turns.
And then they'd leave.
And it's not like they actually listened to each other. So, it was eye-opening.
I could take politics with a sense of humor, and that was all just like, oh boy,
It was eye-opening.
It was, and really great for the kids that came on that.
Yeah, our kids are all like history lovers.
Yeah, so they were really into that.
Yeah.
And then the other big trip that we took that I really loved. Now this was a real shift, because
we went from
having the 6 of us, the 4 kids, to this trip that we took. We went to Maine, and we also hit New York City.
Yes.
And we only had Olivia.
So
we had one
different.
kid.
Yes.
And I couldn't help but think a few times, like, oh, I wish Mitch was here to see this, or I wish Connor was here to see that, or Ian could see this.
Yeah.
But after a while, I'm like, you know what? Stop it. They're not. Move on.
I mean, if you think back,
we had a great time.
Mitchell was teaching at science camp, Ian was working, and Connor was on a Mediterranean cruise.
Yeah, no one was suffering.
Yeah, they're all good.
Everybody was doing great. But it was just one of those trips that we mentioned in our show after we came back from the trip. Like, Olivia we've been dragging her along on these trips since she was 2 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So she's now going on 14, and she doesn't remember stuff. She sees pictures of things, but she doesn't remember. Oh yeah, like the vivid memories that we have of that. So what was fun about Maine and New York is we had gone before, and in the RV, and
where did we stay in Maine?
She didn't really remember. Now you're putting me on the spot. It was one of the Sun resorts. Oh gosh, I have to look this up.
No, it was. I remember this one.
Think about
Wild Acres Campground.
Wild Acres Campground.
It was very nice.
Yes, but isn't that one of the Sun?
It is a Sun resort.
It is a Sun
Absolutely.
resort.
Yeah.
But she didn't remember much of these trips.
No.
Other than I saw that picture, So to go and relive that stuff with her, and we had, like, starting off in Maine, lots of lobster eating.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of beach time. Just, like, that was really a chill trip. But we did take the car. We had the tow dolly for that. And drove around and, did some shopping and went. It was sort of beyond the trip we did before, because we didn't have the car.
No, last time it was a lot of, like, park the RV and walk to the beach and then
Which was
walk
great,
back, which is
but
awesome.
It's
And then
nice
maybe
to go beyond.
Yeah, and then go to the boardwalk. This time we were able to drive here, drive there. We did a lot of walking still, because we always do. I mean, when you can walk, you should.
Yeah.
So.
And then we went on from there after, I think we were there 4 or 5 days. Then we went on to New York City and stayed at Liberty Harbor RV Resort, which is, there's just nothing more convenient.
RV Marina.
RV and Marina.
Yes.
We don't have a boat, so I don't think about that.
I know.
Even though you're surrounded by it there.
There's a lot of boats.
And really what that place, it's a parking lot, guys, with hookups and a dump station. And it's for under $100 a night. You're right across from the financial district.
Mm-hmm.
You're right next to, although we had the car, I wasn't driving
No, we
anywhere,
didn't drive it anywhere.
There's just no reason for that. So, but we were right next to the ferry. We had the path to get into the city.
We were in Jersey City, too.
In Jersey City, which had great places. Actually, that's where we did most of our dining.
Yeah, Jersey City's really nice, actually.
Yeah, we were there for my birthday.
We were.
When I turned 24.
Yes.
We were there when I turned 24.
Walked 17 miles that day.
Oh my God.
That was.
But it was the best birthday I ever had.
Yeah,
and
that's
I was
awesome.
missing 3 of my kids. But we made a great day. I mean, we did everything from being a painter. I really wanted on my birthday to go to the Museum of Modern Art. So we went to the MoMA and we walked all day long. And, we just spent a couple days just doing it all, really from Midtown down to the financial district. That's about as far but like 17 miles, guys, in one day. And then the next day we only did 10 miles or something like that. But
Still
we did everything and just took it all in. Like we walked through Chinatown and Little Italy and where did we go? We went Greenwich Village, and just walked and just saw everything and spent some time at the 9/11 Memorial and the museum there, which has to be a rite of passage for everybody needs to go there.
That was for me the end of our tour of infinite sadness
my
between the 9/11 Memorial, which everybody should experience, and it was amazing and incredibly sad and moving. And we also had done that summer like we said, the Holocaust Museum,
which was incredibly sad
and moving, and everybody should do it. It was.
But I think those are important things to expose yourself to, expose your kids to, to realize how lucky we are. Especially here in being in North America. I mean, looking at, because I was thinking at the Holocaust Museum, they also talked about other areas where there's been really awful tragedies. And, to me, it just makes you go, you know what? I am grateful for my life, and just appreciate every moment. So those are important parts to have on your trip, to just stop and pause and appreciate the moment that you're with your family, whoever's there for that trip.
Absolutely.
And also just have those, educational experiences to really value where you're at in life, and what you do have. It's not what you don't have, it's what you do have.
Yeah, and I think it's just, not to push the point too much, because you said it beautifully. It's just, just appreciate life.
Yeah,
absolutely. Life is short, life is good. Yeah. And just appreciate what you have.
And that's why we do the RVing and do what we do. And then we were lucky enough to have a trip just together to celebrate our anniversary and also to try out our new RV. And
which I love.
We just stayed local, loved it. Everybody's asking, how do you feel about it versus this, that? We hit on some of the points earlier. But, we were able to reconnect. We stayed somewhat local. We were only about an hour and a half away in the Allegheny region. So the leaves are changing.
It was a beautiful area.
It was so beautiful. Even though it wasn't at peak, they say, I couldn't tell the difference. No. It was gorgeous. And everything's very hilly and it's sort of ski country.
I mean, you as a painter, how many different colors and leaves?
It was beautiful. It was so inspiring to go there. It was restful.
We hiked a lot.
We've had a nice fall. And so we did a lot of hiking. We did a lot of, what was really cool, we mentioned it in the show last time talking about the weekend, is how many, one thing that's great about our area, and I'm sure a lot out there, is just a lot of festivals going on. A lot of festivals. In the summer, but they continue in the fall. There's so many craft shows and Oktoberfests and Halloween stuff. I posted something on Facebook the other day about some of the scariest places you can go visit in your RV for Halloween. I mean, there's so many reasons to keep RVing. Unfortunately, us up here in New York, a lot of the places close because of snow. Yeah, right around Columbus Day, it's a risk. They're done. So yeah, we've had some terrible storms in October. Yeah. So we've had a great season. I think we really reconnected. We had a great time on our anniversary trip, and we're always together, and we are still in love. And it just was nice to be alone. And it was a real taste for me of like, okay, we can do this. This is what's to come. In a couple of years, Olivia graduates, and we'll try to get everybody together for lucky once a year, right?
You're my best friend, and I love you, and I am so happy that we could do that kind of stuff together.
Yeah, that was great. We try to do that when we can, but we're still busy with the kids, and I want to hold on to that while we can. And but I feel like we can do this.
Totally,
we can.
You and I are going to see lots of different parts of the world together, and we're going to do lots of things together. And
the adventure's just beginning.
Totally, And we're still lucky that our kids want to go places with us.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them have to. But the other 2, they still want to, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. So
I guess the other 2 don't have to, but...
No, they don't. They want to.
They want to.
So we're still going to be doing our podcast. We always have lots to talk about, lots of planning to do, and how do they get a hold of us now? I want to hear from people, so tell them how they can find us.
We love hearing from you guys, and as you know, good or bad, we will respond to it. And you can email us at rvglampingadventures@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook at RV Glamping Adventures. We're also on YouTube at RV Glamping Adventures. We're also on Twitter at RV Glampers, like really it's at RV Glampers, and also on Instagram at RV
Glampers, yeah.
So check us out. Kevy's got some great blogs too. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Your last blog was fantastic. I loved it. And it is at www.rvglampingadventures.com under the blogs. And it was really good. It absolutely summed up in words our experience on our trip. I loved it.
Yeah, and we're always looking for show ideas, things you guys want to talk about, things you want to hear. So please get a hold of us. And in the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Have a great time.